Welcome back to my channel. So today is a day to hold myself accountable to get some things done that needed to be done. One thing I've been doing is I wanted to sell this lamp and I didn't have a lampshade for it. So it's kind of just been in storage, and then I finally found some lampshades and I'm going to try some of these lampshades, but first I want to give this a really good cleaning. I wanted to make sure that the lamp still works, and then I'll just have to also look it up and see, about pricing it. And then I got to see if a lot of times the things that I acquire, once I get them all cleaned up and put together, I like them. So it's really hard, as I've always said, that I only put things in my booth. Look at that. I only put things in my booth that I would like, that I would have in my own home. So this is a lot of cleaning and scrubbing and a lot of elbow grease to get this to sort of a shinier mode that I like to display my items in. And this is just background stuff for resellers. Tidied up a little. I just don't put dusty, covered in dust things. I know some people do that and there's a certain charm to it probably, but I don't do it. And so now we got to see, this wasn't the exact size that I needed, and also see, this is dusty. And you got to be careful. This is like a silk lampshade, but we're going to try it. Turn this off. I was making sure it worked, and it does. And what is all that? This is like some kind of a label. But oh well, I'll leave that on there just in case it identifies it to anybody. Now, let's try this. I even thought about painting this lampshade, but we're going to go ahead and try it and see how it works. I think it works. What do you think? And then let me turn the light back on. There it is. It's ready to go. And look at this iridescent. Iridescent material on that's what I was trying to scrub. Not very effectively, but okay, so that took about 5-6 minutes just to complete that task. This is going to go in my booth if it doesn't make it into my living room. But that task is semi-done. I would like to do some more research on what this material is and what I could clean it with, maybe to polish it a little bit better. But so far so good. So I was super pleased. This was gifted to me and I'm going to use it as a display. Thank you, Sister Robinson from church. Wow, I'm glad I picked that other one. Okay, so I have the matching lampshade to that one left. And then, these are just adorable. I think they're okay by themselves. But what I'm working on now is I have all these lampshades, and I don't know if you price lampshades lately, but they are super expensive. So I'm trying to think of some sort of canopy that I can do, because in my booth, which is rather small, I could, in my booth, I would love to turn it into like some floating lamp shades, but I just have to think of a way that I'm going to display them and that they are also going to be able to be like, you'd have to be able to, if I had it up high, say I had it up high and somebody sees it, and I'll have this cleaned off, of course, and then somebody sees it up there and they're like, I want that one, I need a way that it can just come down. So I'm thinking some sort of a hook system. So like if this was hooked on, and then a chain up to the pipes, which are pretty high up. So I don't know if I'm dreaming to think that I can make this into a canopy sort of feature over my booth, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm using that one for that lamp. I think it matches. Okay. And then I need to price these lampshades. I need to measure these lampshades, and then I need to price my lamp. Those are all on my to-do list as a reseller today. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So for those of you who have been watching my channel, and thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate your every view, every moment of time that you guys spend with me is very valuable to me. But one of the other things that I need to do is my husband fixed, if you're following along, you saw that he fixed there was a little wooden piece over on this other side that he had to glue back on. And then the front center he had to glue. But I had wiped this thing down. However, it needs a little more loving care. And I really bought this. I was thinking in my mind, I'm trying these new paint, Homestead paint, all-in-one paint. And I was thinking in my mind that I was going to paint this almost like a denim blue or a country white, antique white. And then I also have some like a brick red. I mean, there's just lots of colors that I could. But when I got this in here and I set it down in my entryway, it's going to be hard for me to let go of this. So I will not be reselling this anytime soon, or if I do, I'm going to put a good price on it. But I did need to clean it up some more. I wiped it with a damp sponge, and this is my grandma's quilt made with her clothes and her, people's clothes in your family. And flour sacks used to have material on them too that they would use. So that's from, I'd say, mid 1900s to mid 1960s that was made. So right now I'm just using this Old English to kind of give it a little bit of luster. I mean, it's really not that great. But it's actually in pretty good shape, other than just needing some clean and shine. I don't really know anything about this bench, of like where it was, what church it was in. I wish I knew more. It's just something that I acquired. And I acquire things that I like. And then if I think it might resell, I get it. But usually it's stuff that I like that I think I'm going to resell. But it's always, hard to let go of it. So that looks a little bit better. And that was my second chore that I did today. It's a little bit shinier. I'll put the quilt back on. And this one has some fringes. And there's probably a cuter way to display this, or a better way to fold it, especially without the tatters. But I don't mind the tatters. I know where this quilt came from, and that's what matters. That's what matters, not the tatters. That rhymed. Anyway, so there it is. I like it with the juxtaposition of the vintage two-seater pew with the vintage quilt, And then the juxtaposition is I have the modern blanket cover with the modern couch. So I kind of like a mix. So back to the lampshades. Basically, the main thing I'm going to do is just get the remnants of the tag off. These really look good. I had even thought about covering these, but you know, I think they're looking good. They really are in pretty decent shape. And especially, I don't know when these were, look, that's a little tab right there. I don't know how old these are or anything like that, but this is working really well to just dust these. So this is another one of my tasks that is being completed, because I thought that I was going to have to possibly come in and paint these. And you know, if these don't sell, like I said, I'm going to make a canopy feature out of these above my booth, which I think will be very interesting, and it'll add some interest as you go by. It'll draw your eye. I mean, to have the varying heights of lampshades. And I could even, if I make the rack or whatever it's going to be, the system, because the ceiling above is not even, but there are pipes. So one pipe is up here and one pipe is up here, but that's okay, because I could just put it on varying heights of chain or whatever. I even thought about taking some, you know, those things that you put together and zip tie. I was going to make a zip tie chain and maybe paint the zip ties gold, and it'll look like a chain. And then on the very last zip tie would be like a hook, a little hook to hold it right there, so that you could reach up and lift it off the hook and get it down. And it would have a tag with all the information. I think that's going to work. We'll see. This is, you know, you just get these plans and thoughts in your mind, and sometimes they play out and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go a completely different direction. See, these are, I think, satin or silk inside of these. That's the other thing. They got to look good inside, because you're going to be able to look up and see the inside of them. So I can't have any stains. And you know, you don't just wash silk. You got to spot clean these are really good condition. I'm really excited that I acquired these. This was a good find. And lampshades are not cheap, but I got a deal on these. So thank you, Jesus. There. Okay, so we got all those strings off. We got it kind of dusted, and that, in the life of a reseller, I mean, that's a huge project that I just kind of completed. And all I have to do is come up with my system, which, if I never get around, because I'm very busy and I have a lot going on, I was also thinking maybe I could do a tower, like type thing. Whoops. Where I just tower them and people could see them maybe. But honestly, I truly, truly, truly like the idea of my canopy much, much more than this tower. And then the other thing about the canopy, I do like the interest aspect of them hanging, and I can keep acquiring more and more. And if they didn't sell, then I could paint them. Then maybe that would make it of more interest. So that's that project. I mean, overall, it's simple things that need to be done, but when you add it all up, in the life of a reseller. It adds up over time, the little things that you do. And I know the fun part is, for me, is sourcing, acquiring the items, and pricing is one of my least favorites. Tagging is also a least favorite. And cleaning and repairing is another. It has to really, if I have to put some effort like cleaning into it, it's got to be a little effort for me. If it's a big deal, like a whole refinishing project, I'm not going to find a lot of interest in it. I want things that just need a little zhuzhin and a little dusting. And this thing is such a memory for me because one of my first jobs was as a waitress. And so we had one of these at our cafeteria called Country Kitchen. And, you know, this was where customers would just, as they leave, grab their little toothpick at the counter. And, you know, when you see things like this may have not been the exact one, but I've been to lots of cafes that have had these. Now this is going to display, it's going to display, I'm going to put some toothpicks in this. And so I want it to be nice and clean. And I've already washed it once, but I'm going over it with my vinegar spray and just giving it a once over again. And it's looking pretty good. Boy, it's creaking though. You can hear it creaking. So it's ready. It's ready to dispense. And I'll show you what it does in just a moment. I will have to do some research. And there it is. You push down on this and your toothpick comes out. That was a nice little gesture of the restaurant to give the customers. They usually have the mints right there by them. Okay, on to the next task. A little ceramic piece, and I feel like it's great, and I wanted to get it clean to get it up for our Valentine's Day sale. And this is not the exact color, but it's okay because it's just going to give it some character, and I will not see the white. So that's the purpose that we are trying to accomplish here, because I don't want to see the little white chip that was on it from all of the moving around or whatever. I don't know when that got on there. I don't know if it was on there when I acquired this, but see how the gold paint, and then we've got the gold wax paint up here. It's not gonna, you know, I don't think it's gonna really detract from the piece very much. And then of course, once that dries, I will clean it up, and I have the matching piece at the booth already. So that little task is done, and so far we have completed cleaning the lampshades. There were 6, finding the lampshade for the lamp, cleaning the lamp, polishing my 2-seat pew, which I may or may not sell. It was supposed to be a resale thing, and then I decided that I wanted to keep it. Look at those golden fingers. Okay, so my next thing that I'm going to do, save this. We will be using this wax rub and buff, wax metallic finish. But first, we are going to, and I got to wash my hand first. It's already been painted once, so we're good there. I just didn't like it with the stark white. Now, I could possibly have just added some gold, but I kind of wanted to do a blue and gold thing. I've just really been liking things that I've seen that have been painted blue, so just something that is speaking to me, and then I'll come back in and rub and buff it with the gold that I just used to repair some of that plaque. for Valentine's Day. This is more just an architectural piece, and it's not going to take very long to paint it. We're going to do the second coat, and so far it's coming together real nicely with the first coat. And I stored this in the refrigerator so that, you know, they said this will take 2 to 3 coats, and as I put this on, I really feel like it's just gonna take 2, because that first coat really did cover really pretty well. You definitely want to be on top of it while you're painting it. Because when I turned it around, where I thought I had filled in was not. My next layer will be the rub and buff. So this was the last phase of this, getting this patina that I wanted with the rub and buff. And it was relatively simple, a lot easier than I thought it would be. And so I was pretty glad about the way that it turned out. But unfortunately, I forgot to turn on my microphone, so you can't hear me talking. But basically, that's what I was talking about, was this last phase of the rub and buff. So here I'm showing these completed projects, how I had repaired that plaster figurine and how I did the gold rub and buff on the blue paint, which, you know, is different, but I kind of like it. And then of course, talk about pricing my 5 lampshades, which we're going to figure out what the prices of those are. The toothpick dispenser is finished and the lamp is finished. So we overall accomplished quite a bit in one day. So there are a lot of factors in how I figure out pricing, and I've told you that that is not my favorite thing to do. But one way is we kind of look at the prices of the items that have sold on eBay, and then we average it. Like I might look at 4 or 5 different prices and then average it divided by 4 and then come up with that number. Also, I kind of look at what going prices are. I consider what I sourced it, the cost of sourcing it was, and if it's something from my own house or if something that I purchased. And then we just come up with the price. But definitely not my favorite part of reselling, but it gets done. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and I hope you come back soon.